So last night, I decided to make a dozen chocolate chip cookies. I was so excited because I was going to bring them to school today, but I couldn't find anyone. Mary, my best friend, hasn't been in the hallways, and I've been having to walk to class by myself. Kara, the lunch lady, was there to charge my account, so I had to sit with Elizabeth and James. I don't like Elizabeth and James. They're always asking me why I talk to myself and treat Mary like she doesn't even exist. I try to ignore them, and I take my medicine with a glass of water, and Elizabeth and James begin to drift out of focus too. Dr. Rosen says that all these people are just part of my imagination, that I am haunted by demons. He always tries to tell me that Mary and Kara are my predators, and they try to capture me like prey, that I should fear them. But how can I run away from a part of myself? How can Dr. Rosen and the nurses tell me that the disease is my predator and I am just the wreckage? How can they say Mary, the only friend I've ever had, is trying to drown me like a cracked boat in a flooded river? They told me the medicine would show me what was real. They told me it would help me see, but in doing so, they took away the best part of me. I remember, before they called me crazy, called me schizophrenic, they said I had a beautiful imagination, that my seeing things nobody else could was a blessing, that I could paint images nobody else could. But then, as I grew older, they started saying I was just lonely, that it was time to betray my imaginary friends. They don't call them imaginary friends anymore. My mother thinks they are my demons, and that they haunt me day in and day out. She tried once to save me through God, but all I could wonder is why it was okay for her to believe in someone she couldn't see. She told me through her teary eyes that I just had to believe, and when they tie me to the bed and connect me to the electric, my body hums and I think about God. We don't know if he's real. We don't really know if anything is real. We know what we're told. You see, some people believe in God, but I believe in Mary and Kara, because they're real to me and we're to each other, and that is enough. And if this life is a nightmare, then they are a beautiful daydream. And if this world is a cage, then I will be the runaway. I will never get far enough away. Even if I have a couple of screws loose, I am a house still standing. Even when the cookies go stale in my locker, I still wait for Mary and Kara and Elizabeth and James to come back. They're the only friends I have, and I can never be more thankful. Dr. Rosen and my mother believe that they will tear me apart no matter the wreckage, that they will break me over and over again. I take the medicine they tell me will make Elizabeth and Kara fade away into the past, but all it does is take parts of me away, and it is these parts that haunt me. God, I have my ghosts, but I miss my demons. They may not be real to you, but they are real to me, and we are real to each other. That has to be enough. Tell me it is enough. It is enough. Believe me, God, for I have had to believe in you.
Sometimes when I'm in a big group of people, I feel like everyone has someone to talk to. But I don't. I mean, it's really hard for me to go up and talk to people. I don't know why. It's not that I'm shy. I'm not. Or I wasn't, at least. It's hard to remember my life before it happened. What I felt, who I was. I was 15 and I was so naive. They always warned kids about stranger danger, and I remember my mom was always babying me. And I was so sick of being treated like a kid. She wouldn't let me go to the mall because I got a C on my biology test. And I remember being so stubborn and so bratty, and I decided to walk there myself. And a man who looked kind of familiar, but not really, pulled up, asked me where I was going. He offered me a ride. He seemed so chill, so unlike my mom. And I was so stupid and so angry, so angry, and I got in the car. God, I was naive. I actually believed he was just going to drop me off at the mall and go on with his day. And I remember this terror, this blood-curdling, paralyzing terror that just engulfed me when he passed the mall. And I remember thinking it was a mistake, praying that it was a mistake, and asking him to turn around. And I remember him telling me to shut up, and I think I blacked out, or I was knocked out. But it doesn't really matter because
either way, the next thing I remember, I'm waking up in this room that's so dark and there are no windows, and it's small and crowded and smells like mold. And did I say there were no windows? And I'm drugged on who knows what, and the only time the man comes down is to give me dirty drinking water and some sort of food that I couldn't even identify. And it's all just so blurry, and the police tell me I was there for almost a week, but I'm sure they're wrong because it felt like years. And it's like in the movies how everything's slow and mushy and I can't hear straight and I can't think straight. and I just sat there, dehydrated, malnourished, for 6 days. 6 days, and that's when they found me. And this is the blurriest part of all. And there are bright lights that burn my eyes, and this man that screams, "We got her." And arms are untying me, and the next thing I know, I'm being carried to an ambulance and taken away.
The police tell me they found me because of the tracker my mom put on my phone, and it worked, even though my phone was dead. They said that the kidnapper was delusional and he's going to jail for life. But I think they just said that to make me feel better. But it doesn't, because I'm still going to wake up every day looking for a piece of me that I'm never going to find. And my friends don't get it. They come up to me and they say they're so sorry and can't believe it happened to someone like me. And that makes me so angry because it could have happened to anyone. My old therapist tells me it'll get easier, that the memories will fade. I hope she's right. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm thankful that I'm alive. I survived, I'm alive. I survived, I'm alive, I'm living, and I'm thankful. But boy, do I feel dead inside.
So last night, I decided to bake a batch of cookies, and I was really excited because I was gonna bring them in to share with my friends, but it was really late and I got really tired, so I went to sleep. I woke up a few minutes later to a beeping noise, and I checked the clock, and it was 11:45. So I thought my mom would still be up and she would just turn it off. And so I went back to sleep, and the noise seemed to die down, so I let my brain rest. But then I woke up a few minutes later to the same beeping noise, but this time it was louder. So I freaked out because I thought my cookies were burning. I jumped up and I went to go to the door, but it seemed oddly hot, which I guess looking back should have been my first warning sign. I opened the door, but there was smoke and fog, and I couldn't see clearly, and I thought I was going crazy. But it was just my house on fire. I tried to go to my parents' room, but the fire was in the kitchen and it was blocking my way. So I ran downstairs, and the fire was way too big to put out myself, so I called 911. I ran outside to get away from the fire, and I tried to call my parents to tell them that there was a fire in the house, that they needed to get out of the house. But maybe they were already outside, or maybe that their phones were on vibrate. I tried my mom, no luck. My father, no answer. By then the fire truck had already arrived, and I told them that my parents were still inside the house, that they needed to go inside the house to get my parents. But when they get in, the structure was already falling down, and they said that there was no way that my parents could have survived. I told them that they were wrong, that they had to be wrong. My parents were fine, but by then all the flames had died and my memories were with them. I ran inside to my parents' room and I pounded on the door, which didn't do much good. When I could finally squeeze through, I saw a mere broken smoke detector hanging from the ceiling. My parents died because I decided to bake a batch of cookies.
Since I'm an only child, the world is at my fingertips. I don't have to share my time with anyone else. Sure, it can get a little lonely, but I'm free. Okay, I suppose I should tell you the whole story. My mom was 25 and a total Betty. And she was pregnant for the first time. She was so excited. She cleared out my daddy's office and made a pretty little nursery. He wasn't too happy about it, but he was just as excited as my mom was. My mom and dad have always fought, but one night it got really, really bad. She said she didn't need him. My daddy called her a good-for-nothing bitch. He ended up pushing her down. The next day she went in for her ultrasound covered in bruises and scratches from the night before. She figured she'd stay with him until little Patty Lynn was born and they'd find a better place just for the two of them. Well, anyway. The morning of, she was all giddy to see her new angel, but on the ultrasound screen, Something went awfully wrong. Little Patty Lynn didn't move a muscle or make a sound. I'm fine. She's fine, my mom kept saying, but there was nothing she could do. Patty lay motionless. Not one spark of life came out of her. And my mom wailed. She wailed and sobbed like there was no tomorrow. And that night she went home. She tore down the nursery she spent so much time and money on, knowing Patty would never live to see it. Being an only child does have its perks. But in the end, I know Patty would have been my best friend.
Is this thing working? Alright, we're good. Okay. Entry number 1. So last night, I decided to bake a dozen chocolate chip cookies. I'm so excited because I'm going to bring them into school today for all my friends to share. All I just have to do is put them in the tin can downstairs and... hold on, sorry. Allison? Hi, how are you doing? Are you okay? You want me to come over to your house? You want to show me something? Okay. I'll be there in a few minutes. Alright. Bye. Sorry about that. That was my best friend, Allison. She just called and said she wanted to show me something. I mean, normally she just texts me or tell me when school starts, but this sounds kind of serious. I should get going over to her house. The cookies can wait. See you later. I should have gone over there. I made a mistake. I can't tell if this is a joke or a nightmare. So I biked over to her house this morning and it was really dark out. This was my first mistake. I should have known better not to go and bike over to her house in the dark of morning. Alone. Even though we lived in the same neighborhood. So I was biking faster more than I should have and nearly hit a guy and I scraped my knee. It still hurts. I mean, I'm fine. He's fine. It's just that he was wearing really dark clothing and he was coming out of Allison's house. So I continued biking and I eventually ended up limping over to her porch and she was sitting there. I asked her for a Band-Aid and she said it'd be fine. I should have known something was wrong. She seemed happier than usual. So we went over to the door. She turned the handle. It creaked. The door flew wide open. The odor of rotting flesh and stale blood was in the air. Then I saw them. Our parents and our siblings, they just lie there in pools of blood. I remember asking her, Allison, what happened here? And she told me that she got mad at her parents because they wouldn't let her go over to my house, and she grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed them all 8 times each because it was her lucky number. I stood there motionless. This was no friend of mine. She was a psychopath. So I ran out of the house. I biked home and I got back home. I just told my mom I was sick and asked her if I could stay home. I've been up here all day. I can't get the image out of my head. I need to do something. I'm going to go to bed and think about it. Good night. So I figured out what I'm gonna do. I have to go back to her house and ask her about all of it. Her family, the man in black, everything. And no matter what, I'm calling the police. What she did wasn't right. So I'm gonna head over there now. Wish me luck.
This was the last excerpt the police found in her journal. Earlier today, we found the body of Kelly in Allison Chandler's house with 8 stab wounds.